Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, boys and girls. Let's go with today's questions. We're going to do from 30 to 100 questions today. Basically, trying to understand as best as possible those questions. I'm going to increase the size so you can see it better, minimize the video a little bit here, and let's focus in the content. Question one. A network engineer must create a diagram of a multi-vendor network, which command must be configured on the Cisco devices so that the topology of the network can be mapped. So the answer for this one is LLDP run. That is the correct one. In case of we're talking with multi-vendor. In case we are trying to do multi-vendor. Let me just erase this because I don't know, something is fishy here. And let me just refresh the screen a little bit. Let me try to do it again. I will use another color, maybe green. It's just the way that it does it. Sometimes it highlighted better, but for this one, it just doesn't do it as we usually do it. Let me share the video with you so you can see me in the corner, and let's go over the questions. Next question is, which feature on the Cisco wireless LAN controller enables restrict management access for specific networks? Again, let's go with the question two. Which feature on the Cisco wireless LAN controller, when enabled, restricts management access from specific networks? That will be CPU ACL. That's an easy one. Okay, when a site-to-site VPN is used, which protocol is responsible for the transport of user data? That will be IPsec. Some of the questions I know them by memory because I study questions for the last couple of weeks. So some of the questions I don't have a clue. So expect that. I'll do my very best to teach you as best as I can. How do TCP and UDP differ in the way that they establish a connection between two endpoints? So TCP is reliable and UDP it doesn't guarantee the message delivery. So let me stop sharing the video for a moment and let's analyze this question. We have the different choice. This one uses the 3CP100. Okay, it looks like A. A will be the correct one. And let me explain you why. You guys remember that TCP uses the three-way handshake and actually it's effort delivery. Instead, UDP does not guarantee the message delivery. It's effortless delivery. So that's the main difference there. Let's go with the next one. What are two reasons that cause late collisions to increment on an Ethernet interface? One of them is the length. I remember this one because the cable length limits are exceeded. And the other one, according to this exam, is when one side of the connection is configured for half duplex. Let's go with the next. Cisco IP phone receive untagged data traffic from an attached PC. Which action is taken by the phone? Okay, I thought it was C, but it looks like it's A, so I'm mistaken here. Let's see why. It allows the traffic to pass through unchanged. Okay, yes. Basically, we are working with voice traffic, and the way it does and the way it works is that it allows the traffic to pass through unchanged. When we are working along with the Cisco IP phone and it receives untagged data traffic from an attached PC, this is the function that it will do. It will allow the traffic to pass through unchanged. Let's continue with the next one. What about this? Beauty. Look at that. Refer to the exhibit. The show IP OSPF interface command has been executed on router 1. How is OSPF configured? Okay, let's do our very best to analyze this one. We see the hello and the timers are seems to be okay, but there is retransmission. So the hello and the timers are in use because there's some retransmission there. You can see there's retransmission at 5. And in fact, we got it correct. Is answer C. Next one. What benefit does controller-based networking provide versus traditional networking? That will be D. It allows configuration and monitoring of the network from one centralized point. Let's read the question again after highlighting this. What benefit does controller-based networking provide versus traditional networking? It allows configuration and monitoring of the network from one centralized point. Question 9. When a floating static route is configured, which action ensures that the backup route is used when the primary route fails? In this case, I'm thinking more about something related with administrative distance, but let's try to figure out this one. So the correct answer is A. Let's see why. Let me just highlight it and then we can analyze it a little bit. Let me try to highlight it. It's taking a little bit of time. Maybe in the next 30 days I will finish. Okay, I did it. So the question is like this. When a floating static route is configured, which action ensures that the backup route is used when the primary route fails? The floating route must have a higher administrative distance than the primary route so that it is used as a backup. In fact, we did this in one of the labs. One of the previous labs, when we configure static routes, we configure a primary route and a backup route with a higher administrative distance in order to have that sequence of selection. So if you go back to the previous lessons, one of the labs regarding static routes, it will show you how to do this step. In fact, let's go with the question 10. Which mode must be used to configure Ether channel between two switches without using a negotiation protocol? And that will be A for this exam. So in order to have Ether channel between two switches without using the negotiation protocol, we use the on mode. What about the next question? What do we have here? What are two descriptions of tier 3 network topologies? So it will be A and B. Let's see. Let's just highlight those and then we are going to analyze them. Okay. I'm finished with the B option. Let me finish with the A. So let's read the question one more time, just to be clear. What are two descriptions of 3-tier network topologies? The distribution layer runs layer 2 and layer 3 technologies. The network core is designed to maintain continuous connectivity when devices fail. Okay, next one. Question 12. Refer to the exhibit. Which statement explains the configuration error message that is received? That is B. No, it's actually a broadcast address. This is a broadcast, so it is D, in fact. So what happens here is if we're doing this subnetting, and I recommend you guys to review your subnetting books to understand this one fully. Once we're doing this subnetting, we will figure out and confirm that this is actually a broadcast IP address. And after that confirmation, it cannot be used as a regular IP address for configuration of an interface. So that's the main reason because we are getting this bad mask error. Question 13. What is the expected outcome of an EUI-64 address is generated? So the answer is A, and let's go ahead and highlight it first, and then we are going to analyze it. When we're working along with EUI-64 address and it's being generated, this is the following expected outcome. This is what will happen. The 7th bit of original MAC address of the interface is inverted. Good. We are done with this one. What function that SNMP agent perform? That is C. Let's see why. Let me highlight it, and then we will go ahead and analyze it. It sends information about MIP variables in response to requests from the NMS. So one of the functions, or the function that SNMP, Simple Network Management Protocol agent perform, is that it sends information about MIP that is related to tables information. And those variables are being sent in response to the request from the NMS. Those are basically communications between servers, and we're monitoring networking traffic. Let's go with the following. Look at that. What a beautiful surprise. Refer to the exhibit. The default information originate command is configured under R1 OSPF configuration. After testing workstation on VLAN 20, who at site B, we are working along with router 2 at site B, cannot reach the DNS server on the internet. Which action corrects the configuration issue? So we see that they successfully configure OSPF apparently in router 2. I see the router ID configured correctly in router 1. I see the default information originate. Maybe we are missing the default information in router 2. Let's see. So the answer is actually B. We are missing a static route in router 2, if I'm not mistaken. All right, yes, I was mistaken. It's not router 2, it's router 1. We are missing a static route in router 1. We need to add this static route in router 1 so we can get access to the internet. And that's the reason, because we are not getting access to the DNS server. The following static route needs to be configured in router 1. Actually, this is what we need to do. Configure the following command: IP route, then all zeros, then 10.10.10.18, that is the next hop IP address to get to the internet, to get to the cloud. And then once we have that configured in router 1, we should be successful to access the internet and the DNS server per se. Next question. What are the benefits of network automation? What are 2 benefits of network automation? So the first answer is reduce operational cost, of course. It reduces operational costs, nice. And what about the other one? It's faster changes with more reliable results. We have faster changes with more reliable results. Let's go ahead and follow along to configure to complete the next question, question 17. Which 2 commands, sequences, must you configure on a switch to establish a layer 3 Ether channel with an upper standard protocol? Okay, let's go ahead and read that one. Which 2 command sequences must you configure on a switch to establish layer 3 Ether channel on an open standard protocol? Okay, so the first answer is A. You have to configure the interface and the channel group mode active, channel group 10 mode active. Let's do the other one. Let's see. The other one is, in fact, Ether channel is D. It's actually D. Interface port channel 10, no switch port, and then the IP address. That's the way that we do it. We did a lab similar to this one, but it wasn't the exact same scenario. We configured some inter-channel configuration on VLANs, one of our previous labs. Let's continue with the next question. Which command prevents passwords from being stored in that configuration as plain text on a router or a switch? The answer is B, service password encryption. Great. Next one. Question 19. R1 has learned route 10.10.10 0/24 via numerous routing protocols. Which route is installed? In this case, is D, the route with the lowest administrative distance. We are working along with different protocols. Question 20. Which network allows devices to communicate without the need to access the internet? That is 172.28.0.0/16. Answer is B. The other ones are not correct choices per se. So let's read the question one more time. Which network allows devices to communicate without the need to access the internet? And the main reason is because this is a valid private IP address before version 4, and that is the main reason. Next one. Which attribute does a router use to select the best path when two or more different routes to the same destination exist from two different routing protocols? That will be, do you guys know? I think it's metric. We're working with which protocol? Let's read the question one more time. It's actually administrative distance, but I want to analyze this question better. Which attribute does a router use to select the best path when two or more different routes to the same destination exist from two different routing protocols? All right, yes. If we are working along with two or more protocols, we will be using administrative distance to select the best path. That is right. Which command, this is question 22, which command must be entered when a device is configured as an NTP server? NTP master, the answer is A. Question 23, which OSPF, when OSPF learns multiple paths to a network, how does it select a route? So the answer is C. Let's see why. The way OSPF works, and we are going to see that in a few seconds, is that it uses cost as a metric. But let's analyze this answer as fully as we can. So it divides the different reference bandwidth of 100 Mbps by the actual bandwidth of the existing interface to calculate the router with the lowest cost. That's the way OSPF works. What about question 24? What is a characteristics of a span and leaf architecture? So what is a characteristics of span and leaf architecture? The answer is C. Each device is separated by the same number of hops. To be honest, I didn't know this one. This is new for me. Each device is separated by the same number of hops. We learned something new today. Nice. We are working along with the span and leaf architecture. What is question 25? Which two outcomes are predictable behaviors for HSRP? So we have question A and question B. The answer A and B. So let's just highlight those and we will analyze them. The first answer is the two routers share a virtual IP address that is used as a default gateway for devices on the LAN. The answer B is the two routers negotiate, one router as the active router and the other as the standby router. So those are the two answers, the two correct answers. When we're working along with HSRP, just remember this. One of the functions that HSRP does is that the two routers negotiate, one router as the active router and the other as the standby router. And the other function is that the two routers share a virtual IP address that is used as the default gateway for devices on the LAN. We might be able to understand this better if we get a lab. Maybe I can work on that later as a homework, try to figure out a lab for HSRP maybe find a packet tracer lab and I work with you guys along to complete that. But that's basically the theory that we need to dominate and understand. Okay, let's go with the next one. Question 26. Which action must be taken to assign a global unicast IPv6 address on an interface that is derived from the MAC address of that interface? The answer is C. It enables Slack on an interface. Question 27. We have the following command configure. IPR inspection VLAN 2. Interface fast Ethernet 0/1. We have switch for mode access. Switch for access VLAN 2. Refer to the exhibit. What is the effect of this configuration? In fact, we are adding an inspection ARP. So let's see. The answer is A. The switch port interface trust state becomes untrusted. The switch port interface trust state becomes untrusted. Okay, that's a difficult word for Spanish speakers, to be honest. Untrusted. Okay, I got it. So this is what happened when we are working with this ARP inspection. We need to do that in order to avoid ARP attacks, ARP spoofing attacks. And that is an important configuration that we just added to the switch in order to prevent the ARP spoofing attacks. Okay, next question. In which way does a spine and leaf architecture allows for scalability in a network when additional access ports are required? That is C. A leaf switch can be added with connections to every spine switch. Basically, it's theory, working along with the theory. Next question. Next. Okay, look at the diagram. Refer to the exhibit. Router 1 is running 3 different routing protocols. We have, seems like RIP, OSPF, and EIGRP. Which route characteristics is used by the router to forward the packet that receives from the destination 172? That's 16, that 32.1, that is the IP address for the destination. So is the longest prefix. And this is because we are working along with 3 different protocols. But in this case, it uses, according to the routing table, the longest prefix. So it will go using this one, the EIGRP route. It has the longest prefix. Next one. Which configuration is needed to generate RSA key for SSH on a router? That will be D, assign a DNS domain name. It's important to do that. What about question 31? Maybe we can do 40 today. I think it's fine if we go ahead and complete 40. Which IP? Which API? Correction there. Which API is used in controller-based architectures to interact with edge devices? The answer is southbound. The answer is D, actually, is D, southbound. What about router, this one? Router 1 sends all traffic without matching the routing table entry 192 and 168.1.1. Which configuration accomplishes this task? Okay, it looks like a little bit tricky for me. Seems like B for me. I think the right is B. Let's go ahead and check. It's B. Yeah, we're configuring a static route to get to that specific destination without matching the routing table entry, only this IP address. Okay, great. Next one. What is the benefit of using a Cisco wireless LAN controller? Okay, the answer is D. It eliminates the need to configure each access point individually. This one I know it by memory. It's actually this one, the correct IP address. Let's read the answer, the question. An engineer must configure a /30 subnet between 2 routers. Which usable IP address and subnet mask combination meets this criteria? So Interface Ethernet 0/0. Then we have the description, and the correct IP address is 209.165.201.2 with a /30. In fact, is 255.255.255.252. This one seems like a private IP address, therefore is incorrect. Next one, 35. Which unified access point mode continues to serve wireless clients after losing connectivity to a Cisco wireless LAN controller that is Flex Connect? Okay, next one. Refer to the exhibit. Based on the LACP neighbors status, in which mode is the SW1 port channel configured? Since this one is passive, you can see it from the output. The other one must be active. We need to have an active and a passive in order for the negotiation to work. And the answer is D. Next one. Which WPA3 enhancement protects against hackers viewing traffic on the Wi-Fi network? That is the B. The SAE encryption, SAE encryption. So if we're working along with the WPA3 enhancement to protects against hackers viewing the traffic on the Wi-Fi network, we are using an encryption called SAE. Next one, refer to the exhibit. An engineer is bringing up a new circuit to an MPLS provider on gigabit 0/1 interface of router 1. That is important. We are working with this gigabit interface to get traffic and send it to the internet. The new circuit uses eBGP, usually has administrative distance of 20 more all the time, and teams the route to VLAN 25 from the BGP path. What is the expected behavior for the traffic flow for route 10.10.13.0/25? It's in the routing table. And in fact, it goes through 10.110 gigabit 0/0. Actually, it's not that one. It's gigabit 0/1, the one that uses, but I need to figure out why. It's B. Let me see why. Let me try to understand this one. So it uses this to get to this route. It's updated in the routing table. It's learned by gigabit 0/1, but it's not there in the routing table. So probably what it does is that when we are configuring this at that specific moment, we add the new circuit. It will update that gigabit 0/1 in the routing table. Maybe we don't see it now, but we will see it, we will see it in a few seconds or minutes, and it will be updated here, and we will see it there, the gigabit 0/1. That's what happened. That's a very, very, very tricky question, guys. So be careful about these kinds of questions in the exam. You have to pay a lot of attention to detail on these questions. Next one. Can barely see it. Refer to the exhibit. How does R1 handle the traffic to 192 and 168.10.16? Okay, I remember the longest prefix match most of the time, so it will be. In fact, this one is actually 115, the administrative distance that it uses. So it's ISIS. Okay, let's see why. Oh, I got mistaken. It's RIP. This 115 is actually RIP, not ISIS. So I got it incorrectly. ISIS, in fact, is correct. Is this one? It's 115, but it uses the 120. It uses RIP with the 120 of administrative distance, and the main reason is because the longest prefix match. That is a rule that we need to be aware of. So please be informed about that one, and remember that when we are working with different routing protocols, we will be selecting the best path with the longest prefix match, 120, and will be RIP. Next one. Which two actions influence the EIGRP route selection process? So B and C, those are the answers. Let's select this one, the B option. Okay, and the C option. Okay. Which two actions influence the EIGRP route selection process? The router calculates the best backup path to the destination route and assigns it as the feasible successor. And the other one is that the router calculates the feasible distance of all paths to the destination route. That's the way that EIGRP works. It works along with the calculation of the best backup path to the destination route, and it assigns it as the feasible successor. And the second, one of the functions that it does is that the router calculates the feasible distance of all paths to the destination route. I think we are done. We did a great job. So boys and girls, I recommend you, if you can please follow along with this video and try to answer yourself all of the questions, as well as if you can practice more, maybe another 40 questions, it will be great for you for exam day. And that is basically everything we have to cover for today. I'm going to work alone and create a new lab. Probably we will be using Packet Tracer a lot because we already did most of the labs with GNS3 and Packet Tracer, but remember that some of the labs are difficult to configure in GNS3 or other emulator like, for example, IFNG. So most of the time we will be using Packet Tracer, but if I have the chance, once in a while, I will work along with maybe IFNG or GNS3 to give you guys a more realistic topology and lab. So take care, boys and girls. It's been a pleasure for today. We learned a lot, about 40 questions in total. So take care. Goodbye. I see you around.